So this particular question I love so much. And I came across this question on social media and I actually gave an answer on Facebook. I have a Facebook group that I have. It's an exclusive group, but I posted the question in the group and I answered it. And I love this question because it just reminded me of this amazing decision that I made. And that question is, what improved your quality of life so much that you wish you did it sooner? And the answer to that is when I made the decision to cut my hours down at my current job, where I currently work for 20 years, 20 plus years or so. I was working 40 hours a week, 5 days a week, as I mentioned, for 20 years, 20 plus years. And I want to say about 5, 10 years ago, I think it was closer to 10 years ago, I had set a goal for myself. I said that I wanted to go from full time to part time. And I've been trying to find ways to do that. I've been trying to find ways to execute that plan. And nothing really worked. I started with network marketing. That didn't work out for me. I tried some little side hustles. Very promising. I enjoyed what I did, but it didn't really quite get me to my goal where I wanted to transition from a full-time employee to a part-time employee. And there were a number of reasons why I wanted to do this. Personal reasons, family reasons, just wanting to not work as much in my job because based on the spaces that I dwelled in, based on the people that I surrounded myself with, based on conversations that I heard that I had, I came to the realization that this thing was possible. After so many years, just having that mindset of, and many of us either have this mindset right now or we had this mindset where, our life is basically we grow up, we go to school, we finish school, we work for about 40 years, right? We work at a job for 40 years. We work at a career for 40 years. And after that, you retire. And then you just wait till till you're no longer here. That's the reality for many of us. That's our thought process for many of us. So for many years, I was prepared to live that life. But again, after getting into these specific spaces, surrounding myself with certain people, I decided, it dawned on me that there's an alternative. I didn't necessarily have to work 40 years of my life and then retire and not do much of anything. I discovered an alternative. I didn't have to do that. So again, I began on working this plan, working my master plan, right? And I felt like it took me a while to get where I wanted to get to. And again, I had so many reasons why I wanted to do it. And I'll tell you what was the game changer for me. It was when I got injured. I remember getting injured many years ago on the basketball court. I had fractured some bones in my foot and my ankle. And I didn't realize it until years later after I got an MRI. But prior to finding out, I was having excruciating pain in one of my ankles and one of my feet. And I tried everything. I tried therapy. I tried taking it easy. And nothing was happening. I was just experiencing this pain, going through a lot of stuff with that. So finally, I had surgery. I had surgery in June of 2021. And with that, I was off my job for 6 months. So basically, I was off from June to November, so 5 months. So I was off from June 2021. I returned to work in November of 2021. And when I got back to work, and by the way, I skipped it. So basically, most of my pain was coming from work because I was on my feet hours at a time, 8 hours a day. I was on my feet. So the majority of my pain came from when I was working. So Going back to the story. So I had surgery, returned back to work, and I was still experiencing this excruciating pain, right? And then at that point, I said, something's got to give. Something has got to give. All this time that I've been working on my master plan where I would transition from being a full-time employee to a part-time employee, I decided at that time I needed to do that now because I wanted to make the decision, but I was worried. I had doubts. You know, if I cut my hours down, if I go from full-time to part-time, I'm not going to be making as much money as I was. That was a thought process. That was the main thought. So I was concerned. I was worried how I was going to provide for my family, how I was going to pay bills, how I was going to, manage my money. I felt like I wasn't going to have enough money to do what I wanted to do or do what I needed to do. But you know what? I was in so much pain. I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. So let me explain this to you. So not only did I transition from being a full-time employee, working 40 hours a week, 5 days a week, to a part-time employee, which at my job, a part-time employee is considered working 5 days, but 25 hours a week, anywhere between 25 hours a week to 40 hours a week, depending on the need of the business. Not only did I transition from full-time to part-time, but I went even lower than that. So my current job, let me tell you, I work 3 days a week and I work basically 15 hours a week. 3 days a week, 15 hours a week. Now, I may work a little bit more hours here and there if they need me and if I agree to. It's my decision whether I want to work more or not. So I made the decision because I had been in so much pain. And still, but you know what though? I relied on my faith. I had my faith in God so much. And that's what I was missing. Because I had claimed to be this man of God, right? I had claimed to be this believer. But yet I had doubts on making that transition from being a full-time employee to a part-time employee. I had doubts. I didn't have faith in God. I didn't have faith in God that God was going to provide for me, that he was going to fulfill my needs. I didn't have that faith. But at this point, when I decided to make that transition from 40 hours a week to 15 hours a week, I relied on my faith. And along with that, I relied on myself that I was going to do what it takes to sustain my lifestyle. Now, I don't have this extravagant lifestyle. I'm just your average guy who pays bills, takes care of his family, right? And I got to tell you, that was, looking back on it, this was the best decision that I made. One of the best decisions that I made in my life, making that transition. Finally having faith in God. Now, it took me to be in this excruciating pain in my foot and my ankle to make that decision. But I had to make that decision. So nowadays, I'm much better for it mentally. I'm much better for it physically. I was able to recover. I'm not experiencing that excruciating pain in my foot and my ankle like I was. Praise God for that. I'm better. I'm even better financially. I praise God for, the direction that God provided me, right? That I put myself in a position, and that's a key word, position. I put myself in a position where I could do well financially despite not working at my job for 40 hours a week, having multiple sources of income. And that was something that I was already doing, which another thing is, it was all about timing. All this time when I was positioning myself over the years, doing different things, doing side hustles, that type of thing, putting myself in a position where I had multiple sources of income. And that's where I'm at now. I am established in a number of areas that in a number of side hustles is what I'm trying to say. I am well established right now. And it took some time for me to get there, but I am there. Praise God. So now my job, I've been working for 20 plus years. If God willing, in May of this year, it will be 23 years that I'll be at this job. So basically, my job is just another stream of income. That's basically what it is. I'm not relying, that's not my only source of income. That's what I've been relying on for 20 plus years. My job, that was my main source of income. But when I was, hearing about, hey, there's an alternative, you don't have to work you don't have to work for somebody else 40 plus years. You don't have to have one stream of income. See, this was my belief. This was my mindset, right? And as I mentioned before, many of us think that we should only rely on one source of income. But I want to encourage you to consider running that multiple source of income method. I would encourage you to do that. Don't rely on your job. Don't rely on your career as your only source of income. It has worked out for me. Praise God. So this is where I'm at right now. That was the decision that I made that I wish I would have made sooner, because I had been thinking about this for quite some time, but I had doubts. I lacked faith. Basically, that's what it was. I was holding myself back. It was my mindset. It was my thinking. I was thinking too much. That's what held me back. But I'm glad that I made the decision. As I mentioned before, I have improved physically, mentally, financially, as I mentioned. So this is what I always tell people. Instead of doing what I have to do, I'm doing what I want to do. So I'm not just working because I have to pay the bills. I have to provide for my family. I'm doing that. But with these multiple streams of income, I'm doing things that I actually love doing. And that's the great thing about having multiple sources of income. One of the things is that you can pretty much, pick your interests and find a way to make money from it and execute. And that's what I'm doing. But with all that being said, I am, as always, a continued work in progress. So peace and blessings to you as you continue your journey. So let me know what you think about this video. Let me know what you think about the topic, the question. That question, once again, is what improved your quality of life so much that you wish you had did it sooner? And I want to ask you, have you been thinking about something? Have you been pondering something? Have you been thinking about executing something that is, perhaps out of your comfort zone, perhaps something that you're not used to, and you're having doubts and that you're lacking faith, and perhaps you're wondering, if I make this decision, how it's going to turn out? So feel free to leave your comments below and let me know your thoughts. I would love to receive your feedback. Just let me know. And I want to tell you this, that you are one decision away. You are one decision away from making major improvements in your quality of life. I am Reggie B, aka the Growth Advocate, and I appreciate you all tuning into this video. And until the next time, keep growing and keep going.